First language acquisition general principles. Now let us see what are the general principles that we can derive about the first language acquisition that research in 1970s revealed. The first thing to remember is that the research said that all children learning their first language go through similar stages, and these stages are more or less rigid. So no child can escape one stage and move to the third stage without actually going through the second stage. Second thing to remember is that although these stages are similar across children, for all the languages, no matter languages they belong to or the languages that they are learning as their first language, but they will be always different rates of learning the language. So there will be variation in the speed at which the children will learn their first language, but the stages will not be skipped. The third thing to remember is that these stages of language learning will be similar across all languages, and not any language escapes these stages. Then what is to be remembered, and which has been revealed by research, that child language is rule governed. So after some time, after the child has moved beyond the age of imitation, the child disentangles the rules of a language, tries to understand how a language works as he or she listens to you as you talk to them in their first language, and then they apply these rules creatively in using their own language. Another interesting thing revealed by the research is that children are resistant to correction. So there is research which says, especially in the learning of the first language, that you will correct a child, but the child will keep on making those mistakes again and again. For instance, this difference between take and taked, and because that mistake is emerging from the development stage in the mind of the child, it is emerging from the rule that the child is applying to the language, because the child needs also to process the language and the rules of the language in their own way. But while we talk about children applying the rules to the language, one has to remember that these rules are not consistent or might not be consistent with the rules that the individuals use when they are using the language. So the children must and do that they have to try out the rules, their own made up rules in their minds as they use the language and make the mistakes, and there is no other way around it. It is also revealed in the research that the processing capacity for the children to use the rules or to make up the rules is limited, and it is dependent upon their development stage. So it is possible that whatever rule that they have learned or made up, they will apply it to things that whatever they have learned before. So if a new thing comes up, and if language has to be used in an innovative way in a different situation, they will still apply the old hypothesis in case there is any confusion, because their capability at the given stage to process the language and to come up with new rules is limited. Now, this is again pedagogical implications. It has implications for the classroom teachers to understand that if children make certain rules for their first language as they use them, they might also be making up certain rules for learning the second language and using them. And their own rules take priority over the instruction they are being given by the teachers. And that is why US teachers might be feeling very frustrated at times that despite your constant corrections and feedbacks, the children intend to make the same mistakes again and again in their work.